the people of the United States are having trouble making ends meet. And even Republicans on a press conference today say that now we have to worry about affordability. But what does the average American say about the struggle of living in America now? Well, let's find out, because someone just asked thousands of Americans about this subject. So according to a new poll by Politico, first of all, younger voters in lower income households have been hit the hardest since Joe Biden was president. But as of right now, 58% of Americans say the cost of living is their top concern now in America, surpassing immigration. 62% of Americans are reporting that their household finances are worse off than a year ago. 45% of adults that were surveyed says they cannot afford an unexpected $1,000 expense. Overall, 71% of respondents say they're concerned about the high cost of groceries. 82% of Democrats, 72% of independents, and 59% of Republicans express worry. 55% that were polled say their local economy is either fair or poor, with 38% of people saying they view the national economy positively. 67% of people under 45 claim that they're financially strained. 48% of people over 45 say the same. 49% of people making under 50 grand a year say that they've cut back on essentials like food or medicine because of cost. And 76% of Democrats and Republicans combined agree that the federal government should do more to address housing affordability, including subsidies and rent control. So that's across the spectrum of Democrats, Republicans, and independents, showing that regardless of your political leanings, it's more difficult now than it was. And basically nothing has gotten better, or very slightly, since even Joe Biden was president. So affordability is not a hoax in America. It is the order of the day.
The United States grocery pricing has increased by 20 to 40% in the last 3 years. The United States is also struggling with its rent increasing faster than wages. This is leading to homeownership just becoming very unrealistic for most U.S. citizens. Another really important thing to bring to your awareness is hidden packaged inflation. What does this mean? What exactly does this mean? Another thing to bring to your awareness is hidden inflation. So what this basically means is the U.S. is packaging smaller and pricing the same. Right now, the average U.S. citizen is working 2 to 3 jobs just to maintain a below average income.
If you guys have no debt and 10 grand in your bank account, and what I mean by no debt, no credit card debt, okay? If you don't have any bad loans, student loans, you have no debt, and you got 10 grand in your bank account, you are doing better than a massive portion of our country right now. Massive portion of our country right now. The average American right now is somewhere between $7,000 and $8,000 of credit card debt at a 29.99% interest rate, $8,400 of negative auto equity. I can't remember off the top. I don't want to quote the student loan payment. It was pretty high. The average student loan payment, you take it across the board. The average American's finances are disgusting right now. Awful. And we're at the most expensive time we've ever been at in history.
Family, white America is facing its sudden downfall. For the longest time, white folks thought that poverty is only meant for black people. But family, right now we are seeing a different picture in America. A picture where white people are struggling so much. We are seeing white folks struggle to pay for rent. We are seeing white people complain about the cost of living generally. We are seeing them complain about the cost of groceries. We are seeing them complain about how Donald Trump has made life so difficult in America. This is what I like calling the heavy cost of racism. Racism is very expensive, and it took them so long for them to notice that. They voted for Donald Trump in large numbers, thinking that their privileges shall continue to be upholded in the American society. But right now, the system they actually voted for is now going against them. They are struggling so much in America, not because they should be struggling, but because they chose whiteness. Because they thought that having a white leader in office would mean that black people would continue to suffer. So family, in this video, I want us to dive deep and try and debunk this fact, why many white folks are struggling in America today. Once the video is done, we will get back and do a critical analysis about the same. Let's watch this video together, family.
We have absolutely been crushed by inflation. To give you an idea, an article in Newsweek in 2024 talked about how the price of a Big Mac went from $3.99 in 2019 to $7.49 in May of 2024. That is an 87% increase. Most American families are paying $12,500 more for the same lifestyle that they had in 2019. If you walk into any American grocery store and spend $200, you're going to get about the same amount of groceries that you would have got for just $130 in 2019. This widely circulated image shows two similar cuts of meat going from $39.67 to $65.24. And that is only between November of 2024 and November of 2025. The hourly wage required to live in a two-bedroom apartment has risen in the last survey in 2024 to $28.58 per hour. 50% of Americans spend more than half of their monthly income just on housing. And this has a real long-term impact on your quality of life because the average American has to work between 4 to 8 hours more per week just to make up for the cost difference. Among low-income renters, 26% sometimes say they don't have enough to eat, 45% are behind on rent, and 30% of low-income households with children often report their children do not have enough to eat. So to give you an idea of how I got to that math of $12,500, let me give you my calculation. In an example, you're spending $1,200 more annually on food. You're spending $3,324 more on rent, $504 more on gasoline, $2,040 more on childcare, and health insurance, $5,000 annually per year. Not to mention electricity, for which the average would be about $408 per year. That is essentially an extra $1,000 per month to compare the quality of living and the cost of living. But the complexity of that data is one thing. When you go through that Newsweek article and you realize the McXample, if you will, a medium fries $179 to $419, a McChicken $129 to $389, a Big Mac $3.99 to $7.49, a cheeseburger $1 to $3.15. Now, for their part, McDonald's did put out their own figures which contradict these numbers, but the prices are still dramatic increases. But of course, this is not about any one restaurant. This is about our quality of life and the fact that most of it is getting so unattainable that many of us don't know how we're going to afford this anymore. What examples do you have of inflation or how your wages have not kept up? You're not imagining things. It really is this bad. The only question is, what are we going to do about it?
Affordability is a Democrat hoax. Repeat, repeat, repeat. You can keep on repeating it, but we know better. You see, we pay bills. We buy groceries. You don't. Affordability is just like it sounds, being able to afford things. And now a lot of people, by the time they pay their rent or their mortgage, their utilities, buy food, there's no more money left in that paycheck. And don't even get me started on health care. So no, right now, for an awful lot of Americans, life isn't affordable. And you saying over and over again that it is doesn't make it true. Remember back when so many people were pitching a fit because people in retail and working fast food places were wanting $15 an hour, and they thought that was so much money. Well, now $15 an hour isn't considered a livable wage anywhere in the country. Yet minimum wage hasn't gone up. So Hillary and her emails, Obama doesn't have a birth certificate, and affordability is a Democrat hoax. Just stop. Just stop with the repeating over and over again. It just makes you sound dumb or dumber, if that's even possible.
People are clearly delusional in America if they don't think that there's a problem with the fact that to be able to rent an apartment, you have to make at least 3 times the income. You realize that if most people made 3 times the income, they probably wouldn't be renting. And the people who are saying, well, maybe you shouldn't want such a luxurious, bougie apartment. Most people aren't looking for the most fabulous apartment. They just want somewhere safe. I'm sorry that safety is apparently now a luxury in America. Frankly, our job market is absolutely cooked. People are making bare minimum, not able to pay their groceries, their bills, anything, but you want them to make 3 times the amount of rent to be able to qualify to get an apartment. This whole side hustle culture, making it like a flex to work like 3 jobs, that's not a flex, that's exhausting. Have you heard of burnout, depression, anxiety? Because like we all got it, and this is why.
I feel like we don't talk about how traumatizing it is to live in poverty and how traumatizing it is to constantly be living in a never-ending cycle of survival mode. It's like you're working and busting your ass, you're putting blood, sweat, and tears into your work just for the end of the week to come around and not have enough to pay your bills. You're juggling a million different things. You're trying to, somehow get ahead. You're trying to come up with, more sources of income. You're trying to make more money, and it feels like no matter what, it's just never enough. Then it's like next to no people give a fuck about you on your porch, just more people pointing the finger at you, telling you everything that you're doing wrong, telling you that it's your fault that you're in the situation that you're in. Like, this society literally makes you out to be the asshole. And then people are turning to substances. People are becoming mentally unstable because, we can't cope with this shit. It's not fun. It's literally anything but fun. It feels like we're all just, being punished here. And that's exactly how they have it designed. It's like they want to keep stealing and squeezing, every last thing that we have. And you wonder why people are just losing it, because we just can't cope with it no more. Yeah, we're expected to keep showing up for this shit, be good little workers, good little consumers, go about business like nothing's wrong when it feels like everything is wrong. It's like being trapped in an abusive relationship with that toxic-ass, narcissistic-ass partner, yet you have no way to escape it.
A shocking new poll found that over a third of Trump voters say the economy is the worst they ever remember it, and almost half of Americans say Trump is responsible. Clearly, Trump's strategy of dismissing the affordability crisis as a hoax started by the Democrats is not working, nor is constantly blaming Biden and saying he inherited a total mess and the highest inflation rates ever, which is simply not true. In fact, there's new insider reporting out today that apparently Trump's aides are begging him to stop blaming Biden for his own mess. Quote, Joe Biden is no longer a threat because he's out of office. He's never going to be in office again. You've got to feel their pain. You've got to talk about it every day. But as we know, accountability is not one of Trump's strong suits, especially when it's an issue he can't even feel, which is probably the case here because his latest net worth evaluation is $6 billion. So maybe last night when he graded his work on the economy an A+++++++, he meant for billionaires? Either way, it's clear Americans feel the pinch right now and know who to blame as we near Trump's 1-year mark. News Girls post daily political updates, so follow to stay in the loop.
You've got to listen to these Mainers.
Our premium was $2,120. Next year, our premium will be $34,000.
We were paying roughly $13,000 a year. Our premiums for 2026 are going to go up to $29,000 a year.
It is going up from $356 to $2,184.
These are real Maine people sharing their personal situations with Maine Governor Janet Mills and Congressman Shelley Pingree at a discussion last week in South Portland.
The most immediate thing that the president and the Congress can do right now to prevent health care costs from skyrocketing further is to extend the enhanced tax credits before they expire.
Here's an insurance broker from Buxton talking about several of her clients.
Their premium right now is $1,041 per month. That is increasing next year to $3,092 per month. This year, they're paying around $290 a month. Their premiums will be increasing to around $2,825 per month.
There's a healthcare affordability crisis in this country, and it might be the scariest part of the widespread cost of living crisis that many people are facing right now.
We've been just deluged with calls. While my Republican colleagues may have been out of Washington for 7 weeks, I know they were getting exactly the same calls. There are just as many farmers in red states as in blue states, and there are fishermen and independent business people and others who are buying their health insurance on the exchange.
Family, finally, white folks are noticing what black people have been complaining about for the longest time. White people are waking up. White folks in America are finally waking up to what black folks have been screaming about for centuries. Life under this system is very, very expensive. Now white folks are crying about their tariffs. They're talking about how groceries are high. They're talking about how housing is unaffordable, But here's the twist, family. A big part of why white America is collapsing under its own weight, is because of racism itself. Racism has always been very expensive, and now they are paying the bill too. They are paying the bill that has made life so difficult for all Americans. Right now, many Americans are living in storage units, which is actually illegal because these storage units do not have enough ventilation. In case of fire, where do you exit from? Some of these storage units are locked from outside for it to feel like a storage unit because nobody expects you to be in a storage unit at night. So some people go to an extent of even locking themselves inside there. They tell their friend to lock them from outside for it to look real, Look at the risk that comes with. This is all because of white folks voting in large numbers for Donald Trump. Right now, many of them are living in storage units. Some people are living in their cars because the cost of housing is crazy right now. You have to gamble between buying food, buying the very, very expensive groceries. You need to gamble between buying them and actually paying your rent. And many folks would choose food any day than having to pay for rent in, crazy amounts of monies. And that is the problem right now in America. The cost of living is unbearable. Many folks are struggling. Many people have actually regretted voting for Donald Trump because they now see what choosing whiteness has brought to them. Choosing whiteness has made them lack food stamps benefits for the month of November. Many Americans were struggling in the month of November. They did not get SNAP benefits for that month. They did not get SNAP benefits for a month that Thanksgiving is celebrated. A month, of festivities. A month full of ceremonies. They did not get money to cater for their needs. And right now, many Americans are starving. As at November, most Americans are actually struggling. Imagine more than 45 million Americans fully depend on SNAP benefits when it comes to matters food. Once Donald Trump refused to give them that food, it brought a lot of problem. Donald Trump refusing to release the funding for SNAP benefit, it brought a lot of problem. Even after a federal judge ordered Donald Trump to release these funds because even before the government had shut down, there were federal fundings that are actually passed by the Congress to be used in case of emergencies. More than $5 billion were already passed by the Congress to be used in case of an emergency, but Donald Trump still refused to support his own citizens. And you'd wonder, why would a president refuse to support his people? Look at healthcare right now in America. Healthcare is crazy, so much because nobody can be able, to pay for their bills in their hospitals with the Medicare and Medicaid cuts. Over 40 million people in America today live below their poverty lines in 2025. And this is not about laziness. The majority of these people actually work full-time in jobs, but the cost of living is very, very high. And all of these has been seen in the tenure of Donald Trump being the president of the United States of America. Family, White folks crying online is something that I actually had expected. White folks asking black people for forgiveness is something I had expected because most of them did not look at the future. Their goal was not to have a black leader in office, but they forgot what it would take for them to have the white leader they want there. Did they choose Donald Trump because of some of the things he promised to do, or rather because he's a white person? Because one of the things that he pushed during his campaign trail was mass deportations. And foolishly, many white farmers voted for him, thinking that their farms would still be good. But funny enough, you notice immediately he was put the president in the very second term of his presidency. The first thing he did was swipe away, the immigrants who are working in these white farms. Right now, white farms have never been the same since the mass deportations were done. They do not have enough laborers. They are unable to sustain themselves. They are unable to sustain their farms. They are now asking for federal funding to help them with their farms. They do not have a market for their soybeans. Donald Trump introduced a 100% tariff to China. Family, there is a lot of problems, left, right, and center, all because white folks chose him as the leader. The system is built to make people drown. The system right now in America, eviction has become normal, while many Americans are now living in cars. Just imagine eviction is normal. Imagine how crazy and how the cost of living is right now in America. What is happening right now is engineered starvation. People are starving because the president wants that to happen. Wages are being stalled, while groceries have shot up to 21%. Project 2025 has ended up to be a fascist framework that transforms the executive into a weapon of domestic war. That is the reality right now. The executive is a weapon, of the domestic war right now in America. More than 62% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck with no financial cushion. Medical debt has skyrocketed to $101 billion, and online fundraisers has become the new order of the day. We are seeing a lot of GoFundMe pages in 2025 than any other year because of the very, very high cost of living. Many white folks are regretting voting Donald Trump. They are finally seeing the mistake they did. They are seeing they shouldn't have chosen this leader into office. Donald Trump has proven to be a fascist leader, a leader who does not listen to the needs of his own citizens. Many folks are struggling between paying rent, buying groceries, fueling their cars, and ensuring that they offset their monthly bills because life is very, very expensive while the wages are still stalled. Wages are not going up anytime soon, while the cost of living is going up each and every day. Groceries have increased up to 21%. Just imagine the crazy situation right now living in America. Family, let me know in the comment section down below what you think about white people complaining about the cost of living and if you think they actually deserve that because they voted overwhelmingly for Donald J. Trump. Fam, like the video so that it can be recommended to other YouTube users, and I'd be very grateful. Lastly, kindly do consider subscribing to the channel. We are currently on the road to 50,000 subscribers. I'd really, really appreciate if you all would be a part of this amazing journey. The goal of this channel has always been to tell Black stories, Black history, and ensure that we tell our stories as Black people the Black way, because history has proven us that if we give the white supremacists an opportunity to tell our stories, many a times our stories are distorted and whitewashed. Family, thank you so much and see you all in our next episode. Goodbye for now.